Hi guys! I was thinking it might be fun or interesting to share some interests, hobbies, quirks, habits, stuff like that I as an INFP have, and I'm thinking that it might be relatable to other INFPs or interesting to other people. So I'm going to share a bunch of things that I think are attributed to me being an INFP. So let's begin with number 1. The first thing is that I am very nostalgic. So I found that I'm really reluctant to let go of certain objects or memories of mine. So I tend to be a bit of a hoarder. I usually keep every item that I acquire that's not garbage. I'm really scared of throwing things away. I usually never throw things away, even if it has just a little bit of meaning to me, and I think, maybe I'll have it in the future. And in terms of memories, I really often think back to different times in my life where I was really happy, really sad. I just tend to think a lot about the past. And it's weird because I also focus a lot on the future. I'm always thinking about how my life is going to be in the near future and how I could be planning for it. Not that I actually do anything to plan for my future, but I guess I just have a lot of trouble living in the moment. I'm always either thinking about the future or the past. So a lot of the times it is the past. And it could be certain times in my life, just high school in general, or it could be really specific moments. I'll be reliving past conversations, which I know is something that most people do. But so for me, I'll just be thinking about a random person that I used to be friends with, and all of a sudden every single conversation we had that was really awkward will just flood into my brain, and then I'll get a wave of anxiety from that moment. I'll feel the anxiety that I felt in that moment, and then let's say there was one little thing that I said that was kind of stupid. I'll just in my head rewrite the conversation and think about all the different outcomes that could have come from me changing what I said. So that can be pretty hard at times, but moving on. Number 2, another thing about me is that I really love games, but not in the way that most people love games, I think. So I really love video games, board games, or mental strategy games, anything like that. But I really don't play to win. I really just enjoy the game in general. So I don't know, I've played many video games in my life, whether it's on a Nintendo DS or a GameCube or on apps on my iPhone, but I don't really like storyline games because I will just never ever finish a story. I used to play all the Pokemon games on Game Boys and DS's, and I must have had at least 4 different Pokemon games, but I never finished any of them. I just love starting them and battling and leveling up my Pokemon, but I would never actually finish the game. I would just get bored of it too fast. I loved playing it in the moment, and then I would just never follow through. Or I used to play Sims a lot, and I would start a family. I would spend hours and hours building this perfect home and setting up this perfect family, and then I would just forget about it. I didn't really care about actually playing. I just loved starting it. And then aside from video games, I also love board games. So I love just sitting around with 2 or 3 people playing a board game. My favorite board game is Monopoly. even though it takes forever. But the thing is, I just do not have a competitive bone in my body. Like, I do not care whatsoever if I win. I just love playing it. Like, I high-key, like, suck at Monopoly. Like, I lose every time. I always go bankrupt. But for some reason, I love playing it. Like, maybe it's just for the social interaction, or maybe it's just because it's, like, a fun thing that keeps me occupied. I'm not really sure, but, like, basically, I love the process of games, but I just don't really care about winning or finishing games. A fun little anecdote is that I have a cousin that I used to play Mario Party with, and in Mario Party, like, you you go against your friends and like CPUs, and you play like mini games, and it takes like a couple hours, and then someone comes out a winner, basically. I don't want to explain the game, but someone wins. And I used to always play with my cousin, who is pretty competitive, and I noticed that every time she lost, it would put her in like a really bad mood. So I would love playing with her, but I didn't want her to be in a bad mood, so I would just let her win because I didn't care about winning. I just like liked playing, and it made me feel better that she was happy about winning. So I don't know if other people do that or if that's just me, but I don't know. Anyway, number 3. INFPs are known for having really strong values, and something that's really common that I've heard a lot among other INFPs, and something that I've definitely noticed in myself, is that I really, really value authenticity. So I actually have like a really good radar for authenticity. I could really easily tell when other people are being fake, not being themselves, lying, just being like ingenuine. And it usually really, really bothers me, not because I feel like they're wronging me in any way, but because I kind of feel bad for them that they're not able to like live out their truth, you know? So authenticity is always something that I strive for, and it's always something that I look for in other people and just in life. And also when I meet people, or even just see people walking down the street who I could tell are super authentic just because they are expressing themselves. Like, if I see people with like crazy colored hair or like tattoos everywhere, really eccentric outfits, like I really admire them because they're confident enough to just be themselves, and I love that in other people. Yeah, so number 4. I have a really, really hard time articulating my thoughts into words. So making YouTube videos is really hard. You might notice in some of my videos I talk really, really slowly. I don't know, I could have this perfectly laid out sentence in my head, or just thought or belief that like makes so much sense to me, but I have no idea how to express it in words. It's like sometimes in the moment my brain just like shuts off, and it can be really frustrating at times because it makes it really hard to have a conversation if I'm not like prepared for it, or if people are talking about something that I don't know that much about. It can be really hard. But with that comes my ability to write really well. So my thoughts make a lot of sense in my mind. Like my ideas sort of just like flow endlessly in my thoughts. And I can't necessarily speak it in an articulate way, but if you give me a pen and paper, I could write it down perfectly, and my ideas flow just as well in writing as they do in my head. So I have no problem with writing. I much prefer like texting than having conversations, which sucks, but yeah, written communication over verbal communication always. I don't know, it's just easier for me. Okay, so number 5, I can be really, really oblivious to my surroundings and my environment, which is probably due to the fact that I have an SE blind spot. But basically, like, my room and my living areas can get really, really messy, and it just doesn't bother me at all. It's never dirty. I never let things get dirty. I'm not a dirty person, but it can easily get very, like, unorganized, or I just kind of, like, leave clothes everywhere, and as long as it's not in my way, like, I just don't even notice it at all. It's like, I'll just be going about my life for like a week, and then all of a sudden I come home one day and I realize that I just have clothes everywhere and I don't remember them getting there. It's the weirdest thing, but like, you can't really see in my apartment right now, but I sort of have like crap everywhere, and I just don't really care about putting it away. It's different when I live with other people, because then I'm more like courteous to the fact that we're sharing a space, but when it's just myself, it gets pretty messy. Number 6, I have a really, really bad memory. So it's weird because I can remember how I felt about certain things in the past. So I can think about a movie that I saw, and I'll know with 100% certainty whether I like that movie or loved that movie or hated that movie or thought it was the funniest movie I've ever seen, but I could not tell you the plot line. Like, I'll completely understand the plot line in the moment, and I'll be paying attention to all the dialogue, everything, but if you ask me about it a week later, I, like, couldn't tell you anything. And also, like, past conversations that I've had with people, obviously I said before, like, I remember, like, the really embarrassing moments like that, but just like having a normal conversation with my friend, I'll sort of just not be completely there, because I mean, I guess my mind's just always running, so I'm a little bit more oblivious to like what other people are talking about, which can get annoying sometimes. I have to like try really, really hard to pay attention. I often forget things that have happened to me like in the very recent future, and my friends get really annoyed at that. Okay, number 7. This is sort of school related, but can also be just applied in life in general or work. But I really love finding evidence for theories, not just on paper, but in my mind, like any beliefs that I hold. I just love seeing evidence for that in real life, but also in terms of school. My favorite subject has always been like writing. I love writing essays. So one of my favorite things in school is writing rhetorical analyses. So like answering a research question by looking for evidence in some kind of artifact, like a TV show or a movie or speech or essay, and then like analyzing it. I love that so much. I think it's so much fun. Or even in life, in MBTI, like observing real world behaviors and recognizing my own behaviors and patterns that like demonstrate cognitive functions. Like, that's so much fun. I love that. Like, just realizing certain habits that I do that I'm like, oh my god, that's so like NE, or that's so FI loop or whatever. Like, I just love that so much. I don't know. I get the best feeling. It just makes me really happy, even though I don't like share it all the time. It just like, when I have like an epiphany about something like that, I could think about it for hours or write it down or make a video about it, and it's like really exciting to me. And then I think this is number 8. It's gonna be my last one. So number 8, I really don't have many like interests or hobbies. Like I hate when people ask like, oh, what do you like to do? Like I just don't really have an answer for that ever, because I don't really like to do anything other than like eat. I don't know, like listen to music. It's not very interesting. But something that I realized kind of recently, that I never really thought about before, is that I'm really, really interested in human behavior just in general. Like, I mean, I'm studying both communication and psychology in college, and honestly, I just can't imagine studying anything else. I just can't imagine studying anything but like a social science. I just feel like communication and psychology is the most applicable to my life, because to me, life is about understanding yourself and building relationships and understanding other people, and I don't know, I feel like the life of a human revolves around humans, and that's just the only thing that I'm interested in. I just love learning about like how humans do things and why we do things, and I love understanding myself. That's a very INFP thing that I've heard about. Like, we spend our entire lives trying to discover ourselves, but I also am interested in how I'm different from the people around me. So, I don't know, I just find human behavior like really interesting. That's just it. So let me know if you relate to any of these things that I'm talking about. If you're an INFP and you heard some of the things that I talked about and you're like, oh my god, me too, that's crazy. Let me know. I'm curious as to if like these are common INFP things. I know some of them definitely are, but I'm just curious about people, you know? So let me know if this was relatable. Comment below any questions, comments, stuff like that, and maybe subscribe. Let me know what you want to see. I don't know. Okay, so I will talk to you guys soon. Bye.